So our last speaker is Ben Sheehan, who's the Regional Sales Director at Salesforce. So he focuses on helping Kiwi startups, scale-ups and scalers leverage their world-leading technology, and is going to talk about how they do that and what a productive technology stack looks like. So over to you, Ben.
Thank you. Alrighty. Kia ora tēnā koutou. First off, a massive thank you to the Gravity Lab team for hosting today, and also to the speakers. And you're very jealous you're in shorts and I'm not. But really, really interesting. I've taken a lot away from this morning as well, so thank you. As Amanda mentioned, my name is Ben Sheehan. I'm the Regional Sales Director at Salesforce. We're a team of about 200 people here in New Zealand now. When I started 6.5 years ago, we were about 15, and so we've been through our own growth journey over the last wee while as well, which has been full noise, as you can all appreciate. So I'm going to talk today about scaling your business, but not so much scaling your business by adding headcount, but by actually taking a thoughtful approach into getting the most productive environment possible, systems and staff as part of that as well. Now, it wouldn't be a Salesforce gig without a forward-looking statement. You're all going to read that, just kidding. But what I am going to say is I could talk about this for hours, but at Salesforce we help bring customers and companies together. And what does that mean? It means we provide some great cloud services that effectively help our customers see everything that's happening in their customers' world, from acquisition all the way through to retention and everything in between, all in one place. But instead, to start with, I'm not going to talk about what it is that Salesforce does, but I'm a dad twice over, so I'm going to tell you all a bad joke. And full disclosure, I stole this from a Stuff article over the weekend, so as any good salesperson does. An Irishman, a Brit, an American, an Aussie, and a Kiwi all agree to meet at the pub after work, all the same, once each of them has produced the same amount of output value from their workday. At 5 p.m, the Irishman walks in. Job done, all job done. He's all finished for the day. He waits alone until the American joins him at 10:40. And then it's 40 minutes after midnight when the Brit walks in, followed by the Aussie at 1:10. The Kiwi walks in at 3:40 in the morning, but the pub's about to close, but that doesn't matter because the working day starts at 8 a.m. It's not a good joke, is it?
I'm sorry, this is like an answer. No. Lots of numbers.
Now, the key thing is the joke isn't funny, but neither is the subject. But the challenge is something which is really real. The productivity that we see in so many Kiwi businesses is a real challenge, and especially those that have their mind set on growing and scaling internationally. Now, what is incredible anecdotally is the amount of really well-known, established Kiwi businesses that myself and my team get to walk into on a daily basis that are still running on the back of a spreadsheet, right? And they're scaling their revenue, they're turning over tens of millions of dollars, and still there's someone in there that is the master of Excel or Google Sheets that is running their revenue operations. Or on the flip side of that, those ones that are perhaps a little bit more old school, that have this industrialist mindset that when we have a problem, we're going to throw headcount at it. Or in the case of those that have caught on and actually said, you know what, technology is the answer, that start throwing point solutions and spot solutions at the problem without looking at the bigger picture. So the question is, why are these mindsets in place, and what is preventing us from being as productive as the Irish, and what can we do to address it? How do we help organizations be more productive than they are today, more efficient, more scalable, and really ultimately more valuable to investors and stakeholders alike? And then also, really importantly in today's job market, how do we create an environment where employees want to be there? You know, they are really using themselves to their full potential because frankly at the moment they have options. Now we know that working harder and putting in more hours isn't an option. New Zealanders already have one of the longest working weeks in the OECD because the 9 to 5 is dead. Long live the 9 to 5. I wish we could go back to those days, right? But we are all working longer than we ever have before. But the answer truly is actually consolidating your tech stack. And this is what we really believe is absolutely key to scaling businesses, is putting the customer at the front and center of everything that you do. and really thinking about your end-to-end processes. And a lot of the speakers today have spoken about that buyer journey and that customer journey and what they go through, and really then thinking about what can be automated or integrated. And admitting, Simon, your ears are going to prick up, that the number 8 wire mentality that we have in this country isn't always the right way to go about things, and sometimes it's best to let the pros step in. So this is, in my view, where startups and scale-ups need to start thinking, and thinking about driving productivity and efficiency across their organizations. So let's talk about this number 8 wire mentality, and right, it is a beautiful thing that this country stands for. It goes all the way back to the early settlers into New Zealand. And the really cool thing about this is that it shows what Kiwi ingenuity is all about, right? Being able to create and fix things with whatever you can find in the shed or under the house. And in essence, it means that Kiwis are practical problem solvers. You know, we can do all this amazing stuff simply with some fencing wire that we've got hanging out the back. Hopefully we won't have too much of that anymore, right? So from this did stem a tremendous amount of Kiwi entrepreneurs. You know, this unique mindset has given us this competitive advantage. And it's meant that Kiwis have been put on the world stage for some really bloody cool stuff. The electric fence for one, the jet boat for number 2, and of course bungee jumping, who can forget that? That's all stuff that has come from that number 8 wire mentality, although I wouldn't want to bungee jump with number 8 wire. But this mindset has also launched some of our most successful startups and scale-ups. You know, Xero, in a lot of ways the darling of the New Zealand tech scene, that has done an incredible job of scaling globally. The challenge is that what we see on a day-to-day basis is that this number 8 wire mentality also comes with a she'll be right attitude, right? And Kiwis are wonderful at this. But an attitude that effectively says, if it does 50 or 60% of what I need it to do, it'll be enough, it'll be sufficient. But there's an obvious problem here that there's 40 or 50% of efficiency gains or functionality that might be missing by using that number 8 wire. And when it comes to creating the tech stack that is used to run these organizations, it usually means another system thrown in, creating complexity, creating technical debt, and really creating inconsistency across the way that they do business. Now, when we walk into an organization that has done this, it usually means that there's money left on the table. It usually means that someone's entering data twice or 3 times. It usually means that there are silos between marketing and sales and support and customer success and the leadership team. No one can really understand what's going on. And ultimately, that is making a tough experience for our customers and our employees alike as well. Now, while this number 8 wire mentality is something which makes our country really, really special, it makes Kiwi businesses really special, usually getting something a bit more fit for purpose is the way to go. So looking at how you close that gap between marketing, sales, customer success, and the leadership team is really, really important. And then looking at how you then automate those processes, looking at how you leverage technology like AI and machine learning to get them out of the way of people that ultimately don't really want to be doing it, right? So taking a systems first approach has to be the way to do things. But what this ultimately means, and what we believe at Salesforce and our team, and what we talk to customers about all day, every day, is a scaling business needs a single view of the customer, right? A single pane of glass, a system that allows for information and for process to flow seamlessly from department to department, and really, really make that experience for employees and customers absolutely fantastic. Now, we know that CFOs today are thinking about this, and we've had to change, our own messaging accordingly, right? We know that if we walk into an organization and we continue to talk to them about growth, in today's economic environment, chances are they're going to be a little bit more gun shy to invest in a solution like Salesforce. But if we go in there and we talk about productivity gains and efficiency gains, you know, in an environment where growth is some days taking a backseat to actually just keeping the lights on, we tend to find that our messaging cuts a lot better through than what it is today. And my 2 cents is that we should all be thinking about, in today's current economic environment, how we sell and the messaging that we're trying to get across, because productivity and efficiency is going to be the number 1 tool, and the CFO is going to be more involved in those conversations as well. Now, The next bit, I'm going to show you a video, and it's from my favorite TV show, my absolute favorite TV show of all time. And what it starts with is productive and happy employees drive great customer outcomes.
Mr. Smithers, may we offer you a ride to work?
No, thank you.
We're from Globex Corporation. We'd like to talk to you about an exciting employment opportunity in our nuclear division.
Flattered, but spoken for.
We're prepared to offer you an impressive salary, plus health benefits for you and your life partner.
The answer is no. What's wrong with this country? Can a man walk down the street without being offered a job?
I love that. It's my favorite show. Sorry, I smile every time I watch The Simpsons. What's wrong with this country? Can't a man walk down the street without being offered a job? We are in a market today where it is incredibly competitive, and it's no surprise for anybody sitting in this room that we are facing a labour and skills shortage, and the tech industry especially is one of those markets that has been so incredibly hit, In a lot of cases, we're not out there saving lives, so we can't compare ourselves to doctors and nurses, but it's a really, really tough market for us right now. We're seeing our net migration to Australia and beyond growing. We're seeing unemployment at an all-time low. But ultimately, it means that our pool of candidates that we can go after to, throw headcount at problems is shrinking every single day. So it means that employees actually have the option to go and find these purpose-filled roles that ultimately they are really looking for, because we're all trying to hire skilled people. We're all trying to hire people that understand what they're good at, and they're able to have those options to go out and find roles where they're going to be able to be used to their full potential. So it's no longer an option for us to be hiring staff that we have done at the rate that we have done in the past, and so we have to start looking at how do we use technology to improve. And I've said purpose-filled a couple times. At Salesforce, we've got this ethos of helping our teams do the best work of their lives, and this revolves around purpose, play, and potential. They've got to see that their work has purpose in the bigger picture and it makes a difference. They've got to have a bloody good time doing it, and they've got to see that there's a career trajectory and a career path in our company or ecosystem for them. But what that means is, when it comes to the day-to-day work, is we want our salespeople out there selling. We want them out there talking to customers and engaging with them. We don't want them having to be raising cases for sales ops. We don't want them having to be creating reports. And so we want to provide them with systems that allow them, that has all that done for them, so that they can focus on what they're good at and really ensure that they are living to their full potential, that they have purpose in their work, and that most of the time they have a bloody good time doing it. Because when we do walk into these subproductive environments with broken process, with re-entry of data, with no sort of single source of truth, no digital headquarters, which is a complete other talking point here, which I won't go into today, but it makes it really tough to sort of justify that purpose behind the work as well. And we know that, an unfulfilling employee experience is, from a recent Manpower Group survey, is the second most common reason why employees leave, compensation being number one. So in order to retain this talent and to really get the most out of our people, we have to look at the systems that we put around them. We have to make this great working environment, a great set of tech, a great set of systems, and a great set of processes in place. And that helps them be more efficient, more productive, and find the purpose in their day-to-day work as well. And then on top of this as well is that you've constantly got to be taking feedback on about these processes and these systems. And when we see organizations that do this really well, that listen to their teams on what's working and what isn't in their day-to-day and enacting change, that's when we see adoption of changes. That's when we see employees feel like they have a say in the way that the business is run and ultimately stick around for longer as well. Now, I could turn around and say, right, the way to solve all these problems is to go out and buy the Salesforce stack, but ultimately, we've got to make sure that organizations that we work with are ready. They're ready to do these things. So there's three things that I want to leave you with to think about today as you sort of walk out the room and discuss amongst your peers as well. Number one is to really take a look at your internal processes. And a lot of the speakers have spoken about these processes and the path that the buyer goes through, the path that the customer goes through. I'd also encourage you to look at How do your departments work together? What is the process to get a marketing qualified lead through to sales? What happens after that if a customer's unhappy? How do we make sure that someone is notified and that everybody's scrambling all over it when there's a tier 1 issue? So really thinking about and looking at those processes as you scale up and asking yourself, are they fit for purpose today? Are they going to be fit for purpose tomorrow? Number 2 then is looking at your systems that you have in place, right? And your tech stack that's out there today. Are they creating or hindering productivity? Are they creating a single view of the customer? And are they going to scale with you in the size business that you are today versus what you want to be tomorrow? And then finally, look at that working environment, right? Think about the Wayland Smithers of the world who wants to stick around working for old Monty Burns and really look at whether you're creating this environment for them that allows them to do the best work of their life. So that's me for today. Again, thank you all for coming today. It's been a pleasure to sponsor, and thanks to the Gravity Lab team for a great event. Cheers.